Hi, I'm David.
And I'm Gail.
And here we are on another excellent Japanese rail adventure.
Yes, we're going to the Japanese Alps today.
That's right. We're headed off from Nagoya to Takayama, and we're about to board the JR Hida train, which actually is, I think, just showing up behind us as we come in here. And it's known for, particularly for its big scenic windows, and we're looking forward to that because it's supposed to be a fairly scenic trip along the way, looking out over the Alps. So I think that's going to be the secret sauce for this particular trip.
Yes, and you'll be seeing it with us.
On this 3-day train trip, we'll be taking the JR Hida Limited Express train from Nagoya to Toyama. Along the way, we'll be taking in the beautiful scenery of the Japanese Alps. At about the midway point, we'll be spending a couple of days in Takayama, which will include a day trip by bus to the UNESCO-listed mountain village of Shirakawa-go. From there, it's back on board the Hida Limited Express for what turned out to be a rather awkward trip to Toyama. We'll end off with a refreshing trip on the local Toyama-Chihou railway to the mountain village of Unazuki-Onsen. It's here where we'll be taking another quite different type of rail adventure, so stay tuned for that on an upcoming video on Travel Intently. In the meantime, let's get on board the Hida Limited Express.
The Hida Limited Express train is often nicknamed the wide-body Hida because of its expansive windows. And that's a big deal when you're going through the Hida Mountains, which form the northerly range of the Japanese Alps. We're traveling in a green car today. The seating is in a 2x2 arrangement. The stylishly upholstered seats recline. There are adjustable head cushions and built-in reading lights. Each seat has electric outlets built into its armrest.
Aside from the overhead luggage racks, there's a storage area at the back of the car. There's the usual clean bathroom, as well as the urinal closet, just for me. But here's the main attraction of the Hida Limited Express, the alpine scenery as seen through those expansive windows.
So a couple of tips if you're riding on the Hida train. One is that you might want to get a seat that's on the right side of the train as opposed to the left side of the train. So far, all the great views have been on the right side. Now, Gail and I are sitting on the left side. However, one of the advantages, perhaps, of being in the green car is that there's a lot of empty seats here. They're a little more expensive seats, of course. So I'm able to just move around the car fairly easily. I can change from our left side seats over to an empty set of right side seats, as I am right now, just to take advantage of that scenery. Now, the other thing that you might want to bear in mind is the time of day that you take your ride. Now, right now, this is October, late October, and it's early in the morning, about at 9 o'clock or so in the morning. So the sun is actually, even though I've got these fantastic views, the sun is actually right low, glaring right into the car here, and that makes it very hard to take pictures. If you're looking to take pictures, you got the sun, and you've also got a lot of reflections as well in the windows, so it's very hard to take those pictures. So that's just something to bear in mind, that you might want to choose perhaps an afternoon train where the sun might be on the other side of the train over there, and give you a better chance of getting some half-decent shots of the right side of the train here. So bear that in mind if you're decide to take the Hida train, which so far I highly recommend it. It really is quite scenic. And of course, no sooner do I say that than there's some great scenes out the left side of the train. Ooh, look at that. a couple of days there exploring that sort of alpine village.
Sure, based on the scenery that we've passed so far, which is getting quite outstanding, we're looking forward to that time that we'll have in the Japanese Alps.
Welcome to Takayama. We're heading to the Zamachi Traditional Buildings Preservation Area. Its narrow streets are lined with wooden merchants' houses dating back to the Edo period. Today, it is largely a tourist destination with gift shops and restaurants. But here and there are museums and original sake breweries. Nearby is the sprawling Takayama Jinya, the sole remaining example of a provincial governor and magistrate's office in all of Japan. It was in continuous use from 1692 to 1969. The complex has been restored to its 1603 to 1868 Edo period appearance and is now a National Historic Landmark.
There are about 7 sake breweries open for tastings in Takayama. But to get a better understanding of the sake making process and a more in-depth tasting experience, a tour is recommended. Happy Plus Tours took us to Hirase Sake Brewery, which was founded in 1620. As is the case with most breweries, we did not get its tour of the entire factory, but we did learn about the almost magical process of sake making, including the role of Hida's own rice and the role of rice polishing in making a good sake. The tasting included a broad range of Hirase's sake products.
The Miyagawa Morning Market is an excellent way to start the day. It's located along the banks of the Miyagawa River, very close to the historic district. It's a great place to try some local snacks. It's open from 7 a.m. to 12 noon every day, but it's a good idea to get there early.
Arigato, thank you. Arigato, thank you.
Please take spoon or chopstick.
Okay, thank you.
ありがとうございます。
Arigato, thank you.
And here we are in Shirakawa-go, which is a small village about an hour's bus ride outside of Takayama, where we started this morning.
And yes, this village is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Yeah, very intriguing place to come. Definitely worth spending a good part of it, if not the entire day here.
So it's the culture and the architecture that has made it this kind of a world site. It has Gasho style farmhouses, which have steeply pitched roofs. They're thatched,
Yeah.
and they can rise up to 5 stories high. And the oldest one here dates back to the 1500s, but there's one that we toured that was from the early 20th century. So they do range in age, but they have the same distinctive style.
That's right. And the thatches are quite marvelous. It's like a super thick thatch.
At least 2 feet
For
deep.
sure. And one of the houses we visited, it took a team of multiple hundreds of volunteers to actually redo the thatch, which had been replaced only was 80 years ago since it was last rethatched. So it's had a good lifespan.
Now, the reason for this architecture, for this steep pitch, is because this is one of the snowiest places in all of Japan.
Yeah.
So it helps thwart the collection of snow, and it's awfully picturesque.
That's right. We're here in I think a late October day. It's a beautiful day, probably about 10 degrees. It would be really, really nice to come here in the wintertime when it's just all this really deep, puffy white snow.
Very fairy tale-like.
Yeah, for sure. Probably if we weren't from Manitoba and trying to escape our own winters, we'd probably be worthwhile coming here in the wintertime to visit. But yeah, it's super picturesque place to come.
So
And
farm implements are here,
Yeah.
and daily utensils are here to look at. And you look out the window, and there you see a farmer next door who's actually working on a rice paddy. So
Yeah.
it is a real place.
It's our last night in Takayama. Time for a blowout meal featuring Hida Wagyu beef. It featured various Hida beef cuts cooked over a table grill. A Hida beef soup. Even some Hida beef curry. It was a great way to end our time in Takayama.
Well, it's a new morning and we're off to Toyama on the Hida Limited Express once again. But our trip through the Japanese Alps did not quite go as we imagined.
So welcome on board the Hida Limited Express. We're continuing our journey from Takayama to Toyama. And I've got one very immediate tip to give you on this, and that is to always reserve well in advance your tickets on this particular train. If you might notice, I'm fairly erect right now, and that's because I'm standing on the train. We arrived in Takayama 2 days ago, and immediately upon arrival we went to get our tickets for the ongoing journey, this one that we're talking about right now, and it was completely sold out except for the unreserved car. Now, unfortunately, it turns out that there is only one unreserved car, and it's an extremely popular train, and we're sort of at the, I guess you call it the tail end of the route. In other words, it's collected a lot of people that are going from Kyoto and taking the entire trip all the way to Toyama. So as a result, when you get your unreserved tickets, you're warned that you should line up as soon as possible to try to get a seat. We got to the train station just an hour in advance, and we're pretty much first in line, and we were the second people to get onto this car with our unreserved tickets. We've got a place for all our bags, that's no problem. However, there was only one seat available in the entire train at that point. Gail's got it, and I'm standing here in the corridor, and I'm going to be standing here for about an hour and a half almost. So it should be kind of fun. Anyways, the scenery, I'm looking out the window here. It is quite beautiful scenery still. It would just be lovely to be able to see it from a seated position. So that's the big tip. Get those tickets as soon as possible so that you don't end up like I am, standing in the corridor of a train for an hour and a half.
Shortly after we arrive at the station.
So you're probably noticing right about now that I'm no longer standing in the aisle of the Hida Limited Express train to Toyama. We, as a matter of fact, got off that train. I stood for the entire time and we arrived there. So it was kind of a pleasure after that to immediately hop onto a much smaller two-car local train that's taking us up to a resort onsen village. Basically, we got to the Toyama station and we just quickly transferred to a station right beside that one called the Dentetsu Toyama Station. And then we hopped on board the Toyama-Chihou railway main line, and that's taken us up to a place called Unazuki-Onsen Station, and we're going to be spending a couple of days there. It's, as I said, it's a resort place, and it has a very special local train there that we're going to be talking about. So you'll have to stay tuned up for that for sure. Okay, so there we have another big rail adventure in Japan under our belts.
Yes, this stretch today seems quite remote. We were the only Westerners on the train at the end.
And tomorrow we're looking forward to quite a unique rail adventure.
Yet another one, a discrete railway adventure that I think you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, so I think you're just going to have to stay tuned. The best way to do that is, of course, to subscribe to Travel Intently.
And of course, if you liked what you saw today, please give us a thumbs up. That gives us some confidence.
That's right, and we'd certainly appreciate any comments you have. How was your experience on the Hida Limited Express? We'd sure love to hear about that.
Sure. So here we are, Gail.
And David.
Signing off.
Until our next adventure.